In 2021, I was at a crossroads. I had been sewing for about 2 years, making quilts, and truly loving the process of finding a passion that I didn't know I had within me. At that time in my life, I thought of myself as an artist. It was very pure, and I loved it. But I was reaching a plateau. I was feeling a dissatisfaction in my art practice for the first time. I thought that being an artist was to be in that state of passionate falling in love, staying up all nightness. And when it didn't feel that way, I panicked. At that point, I thought I had learned everything that I was interested in knowing about sewing. So naturally, I thought, what's next? I tried painting, I tried collage, desperately searching for something that I loved just as much as patchwork. I even tried to document this process through video.
Hello. So,
It was not good. Tanner, look at the camera challenge. But in all that searching, a surprising thing happened. I made a decision within that discomfort to continue learning about sewing, and it changed my life. In my search, I almost immediately discovered shape. You know, a quilt is two-dimensional, and when I realized that I could take the design part that I loved about patchwork and make a 3D object, my mind absolutely exploded. I was constantly analyzing ways to turn patchwork into new forms. I was making pillows and soft sculptures and falling in love all over again. So digging deeper meant that I could renew and deepen my passion. I didn't have to find a new thing to love. I was free to explore in that environment of sewing. If discovering shape made my mind explode, then making my first garment flew me to the moon.
so I made my very first shirt today. I made it out of patchwork. This is the reveal.
I was enamored immediately because to me, it was the ultimate form for patchwork to live in. Three-dimensional and wearable, are you kidding me? But besides deepening my understanding of sewing, how did making patchwork clothes change my life? Well, at this time, in late 2021, I finally started posting on TikTok. I remember thinking that there was no way to share my art through video. I was so wrong. I spent all of 2022 in experiment mode, learning how to apply what I had learned about sewing and quilting to clothes making. I think a beautiful thing about sewing is that there's so much overlap. So I was learning how to apply known skills in a new way. I wasn't starting from scratch. Then in early 2023, I decided to double down on posting video tutorials on my TikTok. Welcome to part 1 of sewing tips I wish someone would have told me when I started making my own clothes. I had 6,000 followers, and like any artist, I wanted to make a living doing what I loved. I was sharing zines about sewing and my favorite tips and tricks, and I was steadily growing. My content was resonating. In July of that year, I shared my 4th zine, How to Develop a Sewing Brain, and it blew up online. In 30 days, I sold 3,000 copies, and by August of that year, I was making enough money from social media to try it full time. To date, I've sold over 18,000 sewing booklets and patterns. Many of my tutorials have over 1 million views, and I have over 400,000 followers, which makes me one of the top sewing creators on the platform. I've built something that I love by doing something that I love, which is amazing. But we all know that social media changes and TikTok is on shaky ground. And I kind of feel the same way that I did in 2021, that sense of panic. And I'm asking the same questions, like what's next for me? What do I do? I'd like to think that right now in 2025, I'm on the precipice of deepening my sewing skills. I'm on the edge of something bigger, something more expansive. And I think that if I choose to deepen my understanding of sewing, that if I choose to commit to making long form videos on YouTube, if I choose to start, then I have the honor of getting what comes after.